author DL Tillery here, the Mistress of Horror, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, how about you press that subscribe button, give this video a like, and ring that bell so you know when I'm uploading new videos. This is one of my bonus type of episodes since it's not from one of my series that I'm currently running. But I always like to throw these in anyhow. Today I'm going to be talking about the types of horror that I like in order that I like. It's only 5 that are on my top, and then so on and so forth, because I pretty much like all kinds of horror, but I do have my top 5 that I go to when looking for horror. Number 1 is cosmic horror. Cosmic horror, if you don't know what that is, you also may hear the term Cthulhian horror, but it's better to say cosmic horror because it leaves it open for the different creature types that's in those stories. The reason why I like cosmic horror so much is because of the unexplainable. The beings in those stories aren't grounded to our reality and to our humanistic rules of things. That's one of the main reasons why I like cosmic horror. The open-ended ability for unlimited possibilities, so to speak. The writers in those areas, some do extremely well. One of the oldest ones that I like is H.P. Lovecraft. I do enjoy, so I do have all his books and stories and definitely like them. There are horror movie adaptations of his stories that I actually seen all of those and recommend quite a few of them for your cosmic horror fix, so to speak. But yes, there are quite a many books and or movies and things you go to. There actually are also video games that are cosmic horror based. Moving on to number 2, paranormal. And I'm using the term paranormal like it probably should be used. So, on the lines of the ghost aspects, apparitions, things of that nature, the undead or the in-betweens, think of The Grudge, things like that, just ghosts in general, those type of paranormal, poltergeist, things like that. I really like those on second tier to my cosmic horror. These are the things that I find scary, if we're going to say, because they're unexplainable. That's not something you can fight physically. It's not something you can combat with a weapon of physicality. So in those cases, that's why I think that those are the top type of horror that really gives you horrific feeling. That is, of course, a person by person basis. There are plenty of people who find things like killers and thrillers which have killers in it and things like that. They will find those things scary. I do not find those scary, or even to the point I watch them because I'm a horror buff. So yes, they're on my list, but very low on my list. Like, I would not, if I was looking for a horror movie to watch, I would not go to that. Like, that wouldn't be my go-to. That would be the last tire. It'd be like, I don't have anything else to look at in horror, and there's nothing new, and then a new thriller comes out, and I might check it out. So that's the case with me. But yes. Number 3, monster horror. I call it monster horror because it's usually based to a type of monster. I kind of include werewolves in this one, and vampires, because they're monster creatures. They could also fall into a supernatural paranormal mixture because they start using paranormal like very broad, especially in the writing world. But that's neither here nor there in this conversation. But monsters. The movie Hatchet, that's a monster. He was mutated or something like that, but that's considered like a gory monster type of horror movie. I like those for the gore. To see the effects and all that stuff, I really like that stuff and into that stuff. So when it's well done, I really, really like it. Other monsters, I mean, it could go to anything. You could create some kind of new monster. I guess Swamp Thing is also monster type of horror, things like that. So stuff with creatures and monsters and that are actually there. Like, I like it because it's, again, unexplainable things you may not be able to beat, but you could fight a monster because it's physically there, and you can physically possibly use a weapon on it. That doesn't mean you're going to win in this case, but it is also still scary because again, if it's something you cannot defeat with that possibility, it's scary. You know what I mean? So That's why I like monster horror on my list of number 3. Alrighty, and on to number 4. Number 4 on my list is going to be psychological horror. I really do like psychological horror, hence why it made it to the top 5 for me. It's when you go into psychological horror, usually I can pick it up. It's usually not something that I have to figure out. It's to me, it's really cool. I love it. I even write psychological horror from time to time for some of my short horror stories. I do like the twists and turns, the suspense of it all. So suspense type of psychological horror I really like, because of the twists and turns, the unknown of where the mind is going, that deep misunderstanding of what is real and what is not. So I really like that. There are quite a many psychological horrors out there, different types of psychological horrors as well. There are psychological horrors that the things that are happening in the movie and or book is actually happening. Doesn't change it from being psychological. It just depends on how where you're coming from and where your story's going as far as the psychological aspects of it. If it's going to be completely unreal and not happening, then that's that type of psychological. Then it's psychological because of the mind break, because of what is happening. That's another aspect of cosmic horror as well, has psychological aspects in it because of the human mind also not being able to take what is occurring around it. So definitely always like psychological aspects in my horror. So psychological horror is definitely one of the top ones I will go for. I'm currently reading a suspense psychological horror by Cam Wolfe called Welcome Descent. So that one is really good. If you have not read it, check it out. It is newly out. Cam does an amazing job. Like, his writing is top shelf. Like, this book, everyone should read it, especially if you love horror, suspense. And definitely, I wish it was a movie. Like, that'd be amazing to watch. I love reading a book and then watching a great movie of the book. So when it's horror, I'm always looking for that. So maybe this book is going to blow up and then it'll be a movie and I'll be like right there all for it. So number 5 on my list is going to be zombie horror. Yeah, some of us horror buffs separate zombie horror separate from the other horror, even if, sometimes they categorize it in monster horror. But in this case, I do like to put zombie horror separate. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like zombie horror. A lot of people do like zombie horror, but I like it when I'm in the mood for it. So sometimes I'm in the mood for a movie that's going to be like, okay, these monsters that are once were human are now going to eat people, and everyone's going to die. No one's going to make it out, or sometimes someone does make it out. It really depends on the story and how it develops and everything. So sometimes I'm in a mood for a movie where everyone's possibly going to die and get eaten and destroyed and torn apart. So am I in the mood for a zombie movie? Yeah, I can be. Also, you all know that I like Warm Bodies, which is a horror romance because of the zombie aspect of the romance elements. So, yeah, definitely can go for horror. I actually watched a cool one on Netflix not long ago called Alive. Came out in 2020. I actually enjoyed that one. So if you are in the mood for a zombie horror, then check out Alive on Netflix. And it is Korean. So that's my top 5. I do still watch thrillers. I will watch and try most horror. I do like romance horror. They don't do that a lot. Like, there isn't a lot of it. But I do have a series on my channel with this romance horror. So I do have like books I'll tell you about and movies that I have found. I did a list not long ago for the first episode of some movies that are romance horror. It probably falls in a lot with the vampire stuff. There could be werewolf ones in there. There are some books that I can pull out of my roster for you that's going to probably be in that series as well. But yeah. So those are my 5. Why don't you let me know in the comments what are your top 5 horror type of movies to watch and go to. And if you dislike or like any kind, I always like to have those conversations as well. I'm not the thriller person, the knife stabby. Like, I like to watch them when I'm in the mood, but I really rarely go for those. And I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed as far as like, this is scary. I'm not impressed with it. Like, I don't find other humans scary in that sense. I find humans scary in the sense that they can be sick and twisted, because humans definitely can. But it's not scary. Like, if someone's attacking me in my house, I'm going to fight back. I have in my head that I could fight this person. I could win. I could stop them possibly. So that's not going to be the same setting if I was getting haunted by a ghost in my house, or a monster show like a werewolf, or some unexplained being, like something like crazy, like a cosmic being. Like, why would it even be interesting to me? But a cosmic being, like, mind break, like, yeah, no. So I can fight back against another human. So that's why I'm not very impressed with thrillers where they're thrillers where humans are killing other humans, even though they're like, oh, I'm a serial killer, or I'm a whatever murderer. And I even write those sometimes. I do, because as shorts and stuff, I kind of like them. But again, they're not my go-to, and I'm not impressed in most cases about, like, being scared. I would be there just for the story and just to see how it plays out. If the killer gets away, or if the killer, gets caught or whatever like that, then I'd be interested in it in that case. But as far as like being scared, the Mistress of Horror is not impressed with that. So it's my last go-to for horror. Kind of like when you pick a meal and you're like, okay, this is the meal, and they're like, well, what do you want of these top 5 things? And you're like, oh, I want to pick my favorite things. But then there's some side little things that you're like, I usually won't pick these things, but I'll take them today. That's where I'm at on that. So let me know in the comments again what you think. What are your favorites? What you don't like? What you do like? Yeah, we all can talk it up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay scared.